Hi everyone, this is your EMVS 1800 tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to be looking at a few different writing exercises to help you with your assignment 7 and probably with your assignment 8. I feel like a lot of these exercises will kind of tie over to that as well. So if you are struggling to come up with an idea or how to connect argument and story, try to give these an attempt and see how they work for you. Sometimes if we just kind of, as we've been practicing a lot in tutorial, if we just have the ability to kind of free write, allow ourselves a lot of kind of creative freedoms, similar to brainstorming, then we can come up with ideas that we might not have otherwise. And this doesn't take the place of creating a well-structured kind of personal essay. So after these exercises, what you really want to do is to create a structure that you want to follow. This is kind of idea generating, but that structure is really important, particularly for this assignment, as it is a personal essay and you are trying to make an argument that includes story, but that you're trying to obviously argue something to try and make a point. I have a few exercises for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read out the writing prompt similar to what we did in class. And what you want to do is get out your phone or a watch or something and just give yourselves 5 minutes for each writing exercise. We have 6 writing prompts, so this will take you about 30 minutes. So you just can pause me and restart me once you're ready to move on to the next one. Okay, so your first writing prompt is, climate change makes me feel. Writing prompt 2, an image that comes to mind when I think of climate change is. Prompt 3, when I think of hope, I think of. Prompt 4, I am scared of. Prompt 5, a formative experience in my life was. Prompt 6, if blank could talk, they would say. And for this last one, you're just going to choose something you want to write about. So that could be a non-human, that could be someone who's passed, that could be it could be a mom or a father, and anyone who you want to talk about who you think might have something to say, someone who inspired you, someone who you dislike. These are all kind of good people to look at. Another writing exercise you might try is this kind of brainstorming word poem thing, and I'll explain it to you and then I'll post or email out a picture so that you have reference as to what it looks like in the end. It's kind of a hard exercise to verbally explain. So we talked a lot about, in the lecture I did for David, we talked a lot about our connection to place and how place and identity are so closely related. And I think this might be a good starting point for you if you're kind of unsure of what to do for your assignment 7. So in this exercise, you want to have out a big piece of paper. In the middle of the piece of paper, you write down a place that means a lot to you. This could be a childhood memory, maybe somewhere that you live now, maybe a family home, maybe a place in nature, whatever it may be. Write down a place that means a lot to you right in the middle of the page. You're then going to get your pen or pencil, whatever you have, and you're just going to circle around. And in your head, you're thinking, I am. Just circle around those words in the middle of your page. When you have an idea, I am, you're going to shoot off that circle, and then you're just going to write a short little, just write a few words, first thing that comes to mind. Basically, this kind of gets you out of your head, and it kind of prompts ideas that you might not have thought of anyway, but that are kind of deep within you. These little kind of offshoots, you don't want them to be necessarily full sentences, but you also don't want them to be one-word sentences or one words either. So, for example, I wrote down Heber Downs in the middle of my page. Heber Downs is a place that meant a lot to me in my childhood. I circled it a bunch, and then I offshoot and I go to Heber Downs, I am long walks with my dad. Another one I had, I am a spicy pine cone hitting the ground. I am bluey black icy skies looking down. So you keep doing this until maybe you have 15. It's good to time yourself again so that so there's no end in sight, basically. And once you do that, you'll have all these kind of offshoots that express different things about your connection with this place. What you can do after that is you can compose these little phrases into a piece of poetry. Or you can just kind of look at them and dissect them a little bit more. When I said, I am a spicy pine cone hitting the ground, what do I mean for that? Well, that was, we used to play a game as kids, and we would throw pine cones at each other as we ran down the stairs. So to me, this is this kind of connection to my family. It's a connection to Heber Downs. So you could pull that apart and figure out what that means a little bit more. It also means childhood play. It also could mean fighting. Might also prompt me to look at what Heber Downs is doing now. So you could just pull apart some of these ideas, and it might give you some things to think about when you're creating your argument or your story. So once you have all these ideas, what you might want to do is lay out a structure. And there's lots of ways you could do this. We see sometimes in Chi, he starts with a story, and then you kind of hear the main point closer to the end of the piece. So you could do that. You could also write it more like a formal essay where you kind of say, I believe this right off the start, and then you go into story and start to argue your point that way. So there's lots of ways you could do this and do it very effectively. I strongly suggest that once you have your ideas and you do the initial brainstorming phase, you actually start to create a structure for this essay and figure out how you can lead up to a very, very strong argument. Finally, the thing you might want to look at once you have all your ideas, we want you to look at your audience. Who are you writing this for? Jones talks about writing for your dead, writing something that they would be proud of, writing for those who can't speak. So this is something you might want to keep in mind is who are you writing for? Are you writing for your generation and generations who come after that, who have to deal with the repercussions of climate change? Are you writing for a specific species of animal? Are you writing for the waters? Are you writing for Mother Earth? There's many things you can consider writing for. You might also want to pull out that audience diagram that we had talked about in class and in tutorial. And if you remember, there's kind of layers within this diagram. So in the first layer, there's you. You're obviously writing for you. This is a personal essay. What do you want to say? What do you feel passionate about? Next, you're writing for your bestie, the person who feels this most with you, the person who's closest with you, the kind of the primary audience that you're trying to address. Next, you're writing for the in crowd. These are people who are slightly outside. They know what's going on. Maybe they're not moved to act yet, but they are aware. So these are people you could move to act, maybe. Next, you have the out of the know but should know. So these are people who don't know about the situation, maybe don't share the same issues that you share, but you want to make them see that this is an important thing. And finally, you have the those who hate us. So that is maybe the person who you perhaps need to convince most. So there's a very wide range of audience members here that you're trying to address, and you just want to think about who you're really writing to, and then how these other audience members might fit in, because we are writing this time for a very broad audience. So there are some tips and pointers for you to get started on your assignment 7, and I also think this will help some of these reflections, particularly the ones that think about climate change kind of in in a more like how do you feel kind of way might also help with your assignment 8 as well. So take yourself through those, especially if you're feeling stuck. Time yourself, do exactly what we did in tutorial, and I hope that this will help you. Again, if you have any questions or you're confused or you're really at a loss for ideas, I'm happy to talk through it with you and we can generate some ideas together. And thank you very much. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.